bringing you the latest from Utah State University's Uinta Basin Regional Campus. This is Aggie Update. Now, here's your host, Bob Peterson.
Thanks for joining us today on Aggie Update. On this week's show, we have invited a true incoming freshman from Uinta High School, Teddy Ariano. It's nice to have you here, Teddy.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson, and it's good to be here today.
And Bob is great. Just Mr. Peter, Bob is great, okay?
All right, Bob.
You know, I've invited Teddy here, and Teddy, direct from Uinta High School, true incoming freshman, meaning this is your first year out of high school in your freshman class, as others are preparing to go to college. You are too. And we just want to get to know you a little bit, your history and where you're coming from, and give our audience an idea of who Teddy is.
Well, Bob, you got it all covered. I did graduate from Uinta High in the class of 2011. I was actually born and raised here in Vernal, Utah. My parents raised me along with my little brother and sister. I am actually the oldest and the first one attending college in my family. I am planning on majoring in wildlife science from a major, so I could work for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife when I graduate. So you're like setting the example for those younger siblings. That's right.
And you've lived in Vernal all your life.
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of interest do you have? You were at Uinta High School. Did you participate in anything there at Uinta?
In Uinta High, I didn't really participate in too much. I was on the boys' soccer team my sophomore year. But throughout the high school, I was involved in the program called Upward Bound, which was kind of a head start for me to get into college. So what I did over the summer, I took college classes, but I also took concurrent enrollment classes at the high school too.
Well, let's talk about that for a moment. You were involved in concurrent enrollment, which many people have heard that term, but still some are not acquainted with it. You're taking college classes while you're still in high school. And advantages to that for you?
A lot of the advantages for me is when I took concurrent enrollment, the tuition was free to me. The main thing I had to do was just work hard in the classes so I could pass the class and don't have to have any penalties against myself. But also, with the concurrent enrollment, I was also attending the classes with students that were in the high school with me, so I wouldn't feel completely out of place when I went into the classroom.
Okay. So, you know, we have a lot of students participating in that program. That's going to lead into what we're going to talk about in the next segment. But those experiences are helpful because it seems like right out of high school now, where you find yourself, you've already had that experience of being in a college class. All that credit transferred over into your college experience, and whether you chose to go outside of Utah or somewhere in Utah, those credits are going to be helpful to you, which is another plus.
Mm-hmm. And when I transferred the credits over, it helped a lot toward getting my generals for right now, but it's also going to help me get on my fast track to getting my degree too. Yeah. But right now, it's all about getting my classes done for my major.
So if there's like people that are tuning in today, and they're high school students, you know, if you haven't heard information about the concurrent enrollment program, talk to your counselors, talk to USU. I will say that it's not necessarily a program for everybody to participate in, and we make sure we explain that very well, because high school is high school, and you want to enjoy that experience. Whether you're playing basketball, whether you're cheerleading, you want to leave room for those great activities that you'll never have again. But if you have the opportunity, like Teddy has or other students have, where they can sneak a college class in, or 2 or 20, take advantage of it, because there's huge benefits from doing so. And you mentioned the cost.
Yes. The cost, when you get to the actual college class after you graduate high school, there are some students who are not going to be able to afford that tuition, as well as all the other stuff you'll need for the classes. What was great about the concurrent enrollment is that the only thing you had to do was pay for just like your classroom materials, like your book, like your textbook, for example. But it was really great because I know there are families out there with low income, but in the concurrent enrollment program was a perfect thing for them to take.
And no matter if you have a higher income, it's always nice to be able to save some money.
Exactly.
And when the state allows us to do so, then that's a plus. When we come back from break, we're going to talk more with Teddy about his future plans as he begins his college career right here in Vernal. We'll be right back.
At Utah State University, we understand your priorities. because we live in the same communities. We realize you don't want to give up what you love to get what you need. That's why we offer over 40 quality degree programs in communities throughout Utah.
Welcome back to Aggie Update. We're here with Teddy Ariano, a true incoming freshman this coming fall at USU here in the Uinta Basin. We talked a little bit about your background or your Uinta High School experience. 2 younger siblings. You're setting the example for your family. Yeah. Let's talk about right now. You know, after graduating, Teddy, a lot of students your age have a lot of choices to make, a lot of decisions to be made. And so let's hone in on education. Number 1, you made the decision that higher education was important for you.
Yes, it was.
And based on what?
Well, growing up, I always contemplated about what career I wanted when I grew up. And I knew there were some careers out there where it did not require an education. However, none of those careers that I seen did not really impress me that much. Not until I took my first job in the summer with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. I was actually part of their program called the Youth Conservation Corporation, and it's basically a program for students who are under the age of 18 but want to work for the government. And that was my first job, and I enjoyed every minute of it.
So that helped you in your decision of a future major choice. Let's talk about you. Another choice is whether you're going to stay here or whether you were going to go out to some of the other campus sites throughout the Utah or outside of Utah. And you were contemplating some of those.
Yes, I was. A few colleges that I was contemplating going to was USU, which is the one I'm going to now, Utah Valley University, which I spent my round program with, but I also thought about maybe going south, like into St. George or Cedar City. However, the reason why I chose to stay here is because I know this area very well. I know all the opportunities out here that I can take advantage of, and I was already accepted to UVU before USU. But their program right there for the wildlife science was nothing comparable to what USU offered me. Okay. And I just never enjoyed traveling out to the big cities. I'd rather stay in like rural areas, like in the country, like here in Vernal. And the Uinta Basin it was just a perfect option for me.
Well, that's a great thing about the Uinta Basin campus here is that we offer that choice. And yes, there are many students who are wanting to leave home and get that experience away from being with their parents, which is great. But there also comes a lot of students. And folks, we had we'll talk about a banquet that we held for these students who all through our area here in the Uinta Basin have elected to stay here and attend with us, at least their first year. And let's talk about that. We had 45 or so students, and with their parents come. You got to meet some faculty members. You got to hear some real information about what life's going to be here like at school, going here in the Uinta Basin. Was it helpful to you?
I found it was very helpful to me as well, and I guarantee you it was a lot helpful to the other students too. Not only did we talk about the professors that were teaching there, but we also talked about the classes that were offered, the scholarships, the financial aid, and all the resources we could take advantage of while attending here in the Uinta Basin.
And we owe it, I think, to students like yourself to explain the benefits here because of the infrastructure that's in place now. We have beautiful facilities in Roosevelt and Vernal that we want to give especially graduating seniors, the opportunity to at least explore what their education could be like right here in the basin. And whether that is to be one semester or whether it's to be a year, or in your case, let's talk about wildlife science, because one of the things that attracted you here was the faculty attention by Dr. Etchberger. And we've had him on the show, and numerous students know him very well about his recruiting skills. And so that's an added plus that you have your major right here to study.
Yeah. And the thing about Etchberger is that he tries to get you in the wildlife science, but he's not actually forcing you upon you. But he's a great teacher to be with. I remember at the banquet, there were 2 students that were interested in the wildlife science, and he stood up and went, "Woo!"
Yeah, he was excited.
He was very excited, yes.
And as a student, the faculty have a lot to do with major choices and direction you're going. Call that good or not, unfair or not, but he has that kind of effect. Yeah. If you were to talk to our audience, and if there are some upcoming seniors in high school, junior high students who are watching, what kind of advice would you give them in getting prepared for just college in general?
For college in general, what I would recommend that for the oncoming seniors is that they just stay caught up with their classes in the high school, and always ask for help. The more you ask for help in high school, the more easier your college experience would be. But as well as learn the basics of keeping a schedule and staying on time, because that helps a lot.
Good study skills and a good GPA. Right. Mm-hmm. Teddy Ariano has been joining us today, incoming freshman for next year here at USU, here in the Uinta Basin. That's all for now. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me on the show.
To learn more about the concurrent program or more about USU in general, just join us at our website at uintabasin.usu.edu, and we'll see you next time on Aggie Update.